Did you ever think that how you show up matters when it comes to your sales job? Today's Fitness Business Podcast guest explains that yes, it does matter, and it makes a big difference to everyone around you, including both members and coworkers. Stay tuned to hear exactly what I'm talking about on the Fitness Business Podcast. Is there a topic or a guest that you are more partial to? If so, please share your opinion and tag us. You can find the Fitness Business Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Hey, welcome back, folks. I'm your host, Dory Nugent, and today our guest, Brian Weaver, will empower us to be better sales leaders. He'll educate us on how to keep a balance between being versus doing, and he'll explain exactly what Relationshiping Wednesdays are all about. Brian Weaver is a high-performance sales and executive leadership coach for the Jacobson Leadership Academy. And I couldn't think of a better industry expert to speak on this topic. His experience in the industry makes him so relatable, and he is a wealth of knowledge. We will begin Brian's episode in less than 2 minutes. First, I would like to thank Hapana for supporting our show.
This podcast is brought to you by Hapana. Hapana is a cutting-edge membership management solution prioritizing insane engagement. Hapana puts your brand first so you can facilitate deep, meaningful connections with clients and members to book, pay, consume content, and build community. Hapana partners with fitness brands in both the boutique and big box segments that want to drive efficient operations and maximum engagement with clients and members. And they do this by providing direct world-class support with a passionate team who cares about your success. To see how you can transform your brand, go to hapana.com and ask for a demonstration. Hapana, engineered for engagement.
Hapana is an amazing company doing incredible things. So make sure you check out their website at hapana.com.
Get your pen ready now for Keep Me's Fit Bizpiration.
Brian, what are your 3 top pieces of advice for developing a top-notch sales leader?
How I show up matters, right? The difference between being and doing. Intentional activity is truly the game changer to maximize your day. And Relationshiping Wednesday, remember that connecting with your customers and partners is as much important as selling to them.
Here at the Fitness Business Podcast, we are gearing up for our upcoming guest, founder of Exercise to Experience, Vanessa Leone. Vanessa is here to give her expert advice on how to enhance the group fitness experience. So note to all of our group fitness listeners out there, make sure you set a reminder for next week's show.
Health club leaders, you work hard to ensure your members have the very best fitness experience, right? You need personal trainers who do the same. Become a preferred partner with ISSA, and we'll deliver the best trainers in the industry to your club in a matter of days, fully certified and ready to work. And we'll help you keep those trainers by offering them exclusive discounted pricing on ISSA certifications. Because when your trainers stay, so do your valued members. Becoming a preferred partner with ISSA is absolutely free. Click above or visit issaonline.com/fitbiz to get trainers now.
Okay, everybody, you ready to go? Let's transition into this week's interview with Brian Weaver. Hey, Fitness Business Podcast family. Boy, do I have an industry expert for you today. Brian Weaver is here. And now listen, before I get started, if you are not in the fitness business industry and you're a friend or a family of Brian, you will know him as Bubba, right? But for our FBP family, it is Brian Weaver. He's completely well-rounded. This is why we wanted to have him on the Fitness Business Podcast. He has worked in the fitness business industry for over 25 years. He's worn a zillion hats. I think he's worked in just about every department: sales, personal training, management, you name it. And he's also, which is really cool, he has a cool job. He is the high performance sales and executive leadership coach for the Jacobson Leadership Academy. Brian, Bubba, welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast.
Hey, Dory. Thanks for having me. And thanks for bringing up some memories with Bubba in there. That was a childhood nickname for a long time. And there may be a few folks out there that hear that remember me as Bubba, but that was fun.
That's awesome. I know. I saw you said pretty much you've kept that name from since you were a toddler all the way, through college when you played Division I soccer?
Yeah, they would, real quick story, when I scored a goal, they would say, Brian, Bubba Weaver. So yeah, even through college, pretty funny.
Wow, I love that. I got to come up with a nickname for myself other than, hey, are you related to Ted Nugent? Or, oh, you're like the fish in Finding Dory or Finding Nemo. I'm like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, maybe we'll find you one before the show's over today.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Brian, today you're going to talk a little bit about sales leaders, but I love your catchphrase is how I show up matters. I love that. So I'm really curious to hear a little bit or more about that. But before we get started, what's really cool about you is you are in the process, and I think almost finished, with developing a leadership coaching program. I believe it's launching here in the final quarter of the year.
Yeah, that's right. So it's developing sales leaders. It's Transform 6 because it's 6 weeks, 90-minute sessions where we dig into coach-led for sales professionals, sales managers, anyone in the sales profession to really help take their game to the next level and kind of bridge the gap between being a sales rep and a sales leader.
What I love about sales is the information or, the skill that you learned about sales is it doesn't only have to work in the fitness industry. It can work in anything you sell, whether it be, cars or software or gym equipment, anything. It just doesn't have to be about sales gym memberships.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, right? The content of the course can be translated across any industry and even outside of sales, right? Just personal development. To have a coach for 6 weeks where you're digging into stuff that's really important to you and how to become a better human being will translate multiple industries and across multiple lives.
All right, Brian. So let's get started. Our first question is, in your developing sales leaders coaching program, right? You referenced the difference between being and doing, also being versus doing, right? Can you shed a little light on what the difference is and why it's so critical to sales success?
Yeah. So it all starts with how I show up matters, right? And what we've already identified is this will significantly change the results or change the game. What we find is a lot of sales professionals are so focused on the doing, right? How many calls did I make? How many prezos did I make? How many emails did I send? Did I complete my CRM duties, right? To basically check the box for the boss, right? That seems to be where a lot of salespeople live. And I reference that as the doing, right? My guess is that a majority of us in the sales world spend our day kind of just managing these quotas to make sure that the boss is satisfied with our efforts. What we focus on, or the opportunity that's present here, is can we shift the focus to the preparation around how we show up, which is our being, right? Can we shift from a place of being a victim to being responsible? Can we shift from a place of blame to a sense of ownership for the results that we're getting? Can we shift out of a place of stress and anxiety of not performing, not making the goals, et cetera, to a place of calmness, peace, and patience, right? So we focus a lot on making sure that you're prepared for how you show up, because we know that if you show up in the right place or the right mindset, the results for what you're doing will completely change, and you'll find yourself being a lot more successful with the results that you're trying to achieve.
What are the 3 most important areas a salesperson should focus on to become more successful? I'd love to hear your advice on this.
Yeah, so I would say the top 3 areas that I would advise sales professionals or sales leaders to kind of lean into. This one's going to sound really familiar, right? But how you show up matters. I think spending quality time focusing on as much time there as you are on the doing. What do you want it to look like? What becomes available to you when you show up from a place of power and a place of ownership? I think that would be one of them. The second one would be responsible for your actions and your results. It's super easy to get caught up in pointing the finger on to other people, like why this didn't work or this doesn't work or blah, 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 right? Just whatever blaming game you want to play. And try taking personal responsibility for everything, and then start to see the shift that happens in front of you in your profession and your life when you start owning your responsibility. And then I think the last one, this one's kind of unique, right? It's not unique in a management or structure standpoint, but unique in a reminder that creating intentional activities that you know will provide the most significant impact on yourself, your role, and your organization. What are the few areas that if you fully leaned into 100%, that you know would have a massive opportunity for the results you're looking for? And then here's the catch. Make sure you're spending time there, right? Block them out, block time, calendar time, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and be 100% all in on those intentional activities. So I think those three things, right? I would highly advise any sales professional to lean in heavily to those three.
Yeah, just to go back when you gave your list of the three, number two, I had this experience, we talked a little bit about this before we started recording, but Saturday for me was just a bad day in sales, right? And I found that I was doing, I don't want to say blaming, but my focus was definitely shifted away from me. And I was called a mentor, and I was just like going on and on and on. And she was like, stop, you're spending and exuding so much energy on worrying about everybody else and what they're doing and why are they better than me, that she's like, you stopped putting your focus on you and what you're to do to get you to that point. And sometimes we just need a reminder.
Yeah. Consider that it's human nature, right? To be a victim, to play the blame game. And I think you make a good point to have somebody in your life, like a mentor, a coach, or a friend that stands with you, can get you out of that place really quickly and back into the place that you want to be.
The third point that you made about just taking time, Luke Carlson, I interviewed him one time and I've seen him speak many times, and he really focuses on a neat little term. He calls it clarity break. And I'll never forget that. I was like, that's awesome. And he talks about just taking 20, 30 minutes. We have to be intentional with that time and just shifting your focus, maybe off of sales for a minute or off of whatever has you frustrated at the moment. And, maybe read an article in an industry magazine or, listen to a podcast or something, but just shift and then bring yourself back, and hopefully you're in a better mindset. So Brian, you were a Rex member for JT Supplier Group. And with speaking with JT, you mentioned about this Relationshiping Wednesday. Now, I love that. That's a pretty cool little term there. So I'm super curious on where that came from and really what is that all about?
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it. So I was part of the Rex Supplier Group and JT's group when I was working for TRX, and our group was in Orlando doing a live 2-day, get together, web seminar, et cetera. And the topic was discussing outside the box thinking to driving more sales. And we were all kind of going around, and I raised my hand and I said, Relationshiping Wednesday. And for those of you that know JT, his face just kind of lit up of like, what is that? Tell me more. I can't wait. So I kind of dug in. Mike Mellick, who was a national sales manager at TRX when I was there, he and I were talking one day about kind of getting away from your laptop, getting away from email, getting away from the doing it, right? And getting back out to connecting. So Relationshiping Wednesday is pretty much that. It is calling people on the phone, old school, driving over and seeing them if you can, if you have the ability to connect with them in person, and just spending time not talking about sales, not talking about business, purely relationshiping, right? From a connection, a human being connection standpoint. where this all kind of stemmed from is I took a little hiatus from the fitness industry and I went to work for a bank representing motorcycle and power sport dealerships in California, where my dad had spent 35 years of his career for an insurance company. So my dad knew all of these people, all of the locations. He knew the business. And ironically, my dad is Brian. We look the same. We talk the same. Like we are twins, except for a 22-year gap, right? So my dad said, hey, can I go along with you on a trip? And I said, absolutely. So we pull into this dealership. We walk in and I'm trying to show my stuff. And I'm like, where's the finance manager? And my dad goes, whoa. Where is Craig in? And I'm looking at him and Craig's in his office. We go right back to Craig's office, open the door. Brian, oh my gosh, it's great to see you. Have a seat. My dad and I sit down, and Dory, I am not kidding. We were there for 30 minutes. 29 minutes, my dad did not talk about business at all. Golf, fishing, family, wife, kids, blah, blah, blah. In the last minute, he goes, hey, Craig, by the way, can you help my son get some more business? Introduce him to your finance manager. And then we walked out. And I was blown away of like how important relationshiping is in sales. Kudos to my dad and Mike Mellick, and just really great for how we came up with Relationshiping Wednesday.
Well, shout out to Mr. Mike. Love Mike. What a great guy. Absolutely. I only get to see him once a year, and that's at the URSA conference. But I laugh. We're always like long lost friends when we see each other.
He's one of the best. Yeah, he's one of the best.
Great guy. Well, it's funny because we said about you and JT kind of met first, and you were like, JT's face lit up. And I'm like, yeah, after his face lit up and he kind of talked to you, then he messages me right away. And he's like, we need to get this guy on the podcast. So that's awesome. What goes on behind the scenes. So yeah, if you make JT's face light up, everybody out there, just an FYI, he usually messages me and tells me to do a little research and get you on the Fitness Business Podcast. If you were to meet somebody today entering the profession of sales, what advice would you give?
Yeah, I'd break it into 3 buckets, right? I'm a big fan of 3 because it's easier to remember. And as I get older, it's really important that I can remember everything that I think. So the first one, Dory, is mentorship and coaching. I would highly encourage you to find somebody to take you under their wing. If it's a mentor, of someone that you work with that's doing it already, that's super successful, and you like their character and the way they go about it. Or there's tons of coaches out there that'll take you on as a client to help you kind of just get better at the process. Sales, it's not really taught in school, right? So when you get out of high school or college or whatever, it's not something that you can take a major in and be masterful at it when you get out. So mentorship and coaching, I think, would be the first thing I would recommend to anybody new to the business. The second thing is practice, right? Understand what's the most important areas that you need to become great at and spend time practicing there, right? Think about how often the best athletes in the world that we see on TV all the time, they're practicing all the time for their moments to shine, right? And I think if you can lean into the practice of what you need to be great at, I think you'll find success really quickly. And then the last one's patience, right? This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And sales cycles are going to change from business to industry to, like, I went from a sales cycle of, could be a couple minutes to now I'm in sales cycles of 50, 60 days, right? So having patience, give yourself time to learn and grow. Failures and rejection is a huge part of sales, right? So get comfortable with being told no and no one calling you back. And, it's a journey, right? So right now, we're all in such a hurry to get nowhere really fast. Slow down, take your time. It's okay that it takes a little bit longer sometimes to get the sale across the board. Those would be the 3 areas.
I love the fact that you said it's a marathon and not a sprint. In your coaching program, you teach a mindset shift exercise. Can you share a little bit about what that is and where it came from?
I had the opportunity a couple of years ago to attend a coaching program. It was a year-long program. We met 1 weekend a month, Saturday and a Sunday. So all in for, 16 to 20 hours for the whole weekend. And we focused on how to become a coach, how to build a coaching business. And then we also got real-time coaching over the weekend. And during the program, because we were practicing as a group, there were always moments where we had to shift out of where we were and go to the next topic. The coaches referred to that as being complete. And completion in this program, we would literally, this is funny, we would all clap our hands at the same time to reference we were all complete with that topic, no matter what it was, and we were ready to move on. The mindset shift kind of came from that. It's an opportunity to leave behind how you're feeling, what's not working, negative thoughts, and really shift into a place of power and responsibility. And the exercise, it basically, you write out everything that's going on in your brain and you recognize, is this really happening or am I making this up? And 99% of the time, we're making it up. It's just a story that we're telling ourselves of why it's not working, why we're feeling the way we're feeling. And then you kind of reposition all of those words in a place of power. So I am opposite of, here's an example, right? I'm feeling lazy. Well, the opposite would be I am passionate and full of energy. And when you start to shift into that place and you can pick out a couple key words that really resonate, you complete or leave behind what wasn't working and you stand in a place of opportunity for what will work. And that's kind of in a nutshell what the mindset shift exercise is. Yeah, before we hopped on real quick, I did it for myself. Right? I was getting on the podcast, as you can imagine, a little bit nervous and excited. And so I had stress, anxious, scared. I crossed all those out because I was just making that up in my head. And I reset with confident and happy and playful. Right. So when I show up for this, I'm in a completely different mindset to be able to perform and communicate with you the way that I want to.
I just love how you just tied in the whole how I show up matters mantra right there at the very end. That was awesome. And listen, there is never anything to be nervous about coming on to the Fitness Business Podcast. I always say I make way more mistakes than the guests ever do or even dream of.
Yeah, quick shout out, Dory. You've made this experience super comfortable and very fun and playful. So thank you for being you.
Oh, you're so welcome. But now listen, before we go, I know all of our listeners out there are wondering whatever happened to the insurance job with your dad.
Yeah, so I lasted 2 years. I tried to shift industries, right? As most fitness people do. They think they can get out. And I just found that I missed fitness and I got recruited back to work for TRX with the new VP of sales over there. And it was just my time to come back.
Good. And then the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Brian, on behalf of everyone at the Fitness Business Podcast, I want to say thank you for coming on to the show. Fitness Business Podcast family, if you have additional questions for Brian, or if you'd like to pick his brain about sales topics, please head to the show notes for his contact information. Show notes can be found at our website at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, or you can also subscribe to our show notes and they'll be emailed directly to you. Subscribe to the show notes also at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Coming up next, Vanessa Leone gets asked our quick fire 5 questions.
G'day, it's JT here, and I was talking to Blair McCaney, the CEO of one of our sponsors, MX Metrics, the other day, and I gave him a hard time about his company's tagline, defeating mediocrity. By definition, that means he's excluding the majority of the market, but Blair just wouldn't budge. He only wants to work with operators who want to punch mediocrity in the face, really smash it. So I've talked to a few of his customers, like Joe Shirelli from Gainesville Health and Fitness, and yeah, it's for real. While Joe is a nice guy, he isn't satisfied with mediocrity either. He's crushing it as well. So I'm still dubious about selling only to operators who want to defeat mediocrity, but if this resonates with you, I reckon you should check them out. Go to mxmetrics.com. But remember, only if you're interested in smashing mediocrity.
Quickfire 5, sponsored by Hapana.
Let's find out what book Vanessa has on her bedside table. Hey, Fitness Business Podcast family. This is your host, Dory Nugent, and I am here with next week's guest, Vanessa Leone, and we're going to run through our quick fire 5 questions. So let's get started. Vanessa, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
What is one bucket list item?
Biggest bucket list item for me is going to as many different countries as possible and trying as much of their cuisine as possible. It's one that I share with my partner. He's an amazing cook and we both just love traveling and I'm so glad that we can do it again.
Well, a little fun fact about you is that I read that you love food and it's a passion. It's literally a passion.
It's a passion. We're going to Bangkok for conference in October and we've already booked about 3 food tours throughout the whole of Thailand. So yeah, it's a big passion.
That's awesome. I love that. Well, what a perfect career to be in fitness. So you can just burn off all those calories, right?
Oh, they're mutual loves. They're mutual loves.
They balance each other out very well. All right. Whose business frame would you like to pick?
I thought hard about this one. I really love, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. It's Payal Kadakia from ClassPass. She's the co-founder, the original co-founder. And I love it, number one, because it's obviously in the Group X space and I'm in the Group X space. But it was quite disruptive in its initial approach and what it aimed to do. And I love that kind of disruption to the status quo. I think that's really interesting. She'd be really cool to talk to, I think.
Now, what is the most visited page on your website?
Yeah. The most visited page for us is our articles page. So we very often bring out a new article with lots of different content, either for instructors or for businesses, just to continue to level you up. And our aim is to try to make as much of it for free as possible so that we can, get people up on our cause, which is to get more people involved in Group X.
All right. Fantastic. Perfect. Great answer. Now, I also know a little fact about you that you're a fantasy book junkie. So I'm really curious to see what you're going to pick here when I ask you to recommend a book to our FBP family.
Oh, I thought about going down the fantasy route. I totally did. But I did go for something a bit different for business people, which is Motivation for Coaches and Personal Trainers. It's written by an Australian psychologist. And I actually think that aside from the fact that it's designed for trainers and coaches, it's actually really helpful to be able to understand the underlying motivation of pretty much anyone that you have in front of you if you're trying to create some kind of behavior change or some kind of difference in their actions. So that's one that's really helped me and I've always come back to it. It's a really great one. And I don't think it's one that business owners specifically would kind of look to either. So I thought I'd throw that one in there.
That's a good one. We haven't had that one before. So thank you so much. And we'll put a link in our show notes so that if anyone else is curious about the book, you can just go to our show notes at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, click on it, and voila, it will be right in front of you on your phone or your laptop screen. All right, here it goes. Drum roll, please. What is one? I love it. What is one moment of next week's episode? Take it away.
I think one of the biggest ones for us, and it was an moment for us in our own business, was the fact that if you start to focus on your instructors, you can create what we call double retention in your business. And that's where you keep all of your amazing instructors. And by keeping all of your amazing instructors happy and really well learned and going really strong, you keep all of your members. You have a really, really strong retention rate within your business. And this is something I'm really passionate about and I want to dive into.
Well, speaking of passion, I don't find more passionate people in a gym than the group fitness instructors. So ladies and gentlemen out there, my group Xers, this episode is for you. So make sure you come back next week as the co-founder of Exercise to Experience joins us, Vanessa Leone.
Hey, Fitness Business Podcast family, Sarah Pellegrino here, your host of The Value Proposition. 2022 is here, friends, and boy, do I have a stellar lineup of monthly episodes just for you. Each month, I'm bringing you an insightful conversation with a different supplier so you can learn the value they bring to the industry above and beyond their product or service. Don't miss this month's episode of The Value Proposition going live this Friday. You can download anywhere you listen to your podcast or from our website. You can watch the vodcast on our YouTube channel or from our website as well, fitnessbusinesspodcast.com.
I can't wait for next week's show. Okay, everybody, enjoy your week, and let's meet here next week at the same time and same place. See you then. Before I leave, I would just like to say thank you to our founding partner, Active Management, our partners, Keep Me, MyZone, ISSA, and Hapana, as well as our advertisers, Rex Roundtables, MX Metrics, and Vapor Fresh. We believe what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but woven into the lives of others.